Good day, my plant foldies. This is Richie at Grow Folds, and today we'll be local nursery plant shopping at Ruibals in Dallas, Texas. As always, please make sure you are hitting the like button for this video, as well as following me on Instagram at Grow Folds. That is the fastest way to get in touch with me directly if you have any questions or you want to connect with me about my plant content. I do 1 hour plant shopping videos on a daily basis, and today I will take all of my plant foldies, and for those that are new to my channel, I call my viewers and subscribers plant foldies. Welcome, my name is Richie. We are going to be going downtown to Dallas, Texas, and I am actually out here at Ruibals. This is one of many locations out in Dallas, Texas. This is right next to the farmer's market, and it is a cloudy day today, but I wanted to go take some time to actually check out Ruibals. I haven't been to this plant shop in quite a while, so we're going to see what kind of plants they have available at Ruibal. And what I like about going to Ruibals is the fact that they have an extensive nursery. So they have a lot of plants in the outdoor section as well as indoor section. And they have a really beautiful indoor shop as well, with a lot of different types of plant supplies. And this is going to be part 1 of 2 parts. So we're going to go look at the part where it's mostly the nursery, and then the second part is going to be the indoor shop with all of the indoor plant products and just all of the decorations. Again, Ruibals is a main staple. It is one of the biggest nurseries out in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And, you know, for me being based out in North Dallas, it is a bit of a drive for me to go all the way down to downtown Dallas. But I always find it really intriguing to be able to go downtown to see what that all looks like in terms of just local plant nurseries and plant shops. As you already know, if you've been watching my videos for quite some time, I typically focus on big box store plant shopping videos, just because I feel like big box stores like Lowe's, Home Depot, and Walmart are a little bit more readily accessible to the general public. But if you ever make it out to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, you definitely want to check out some of these local nurseries. I am all about supporting local. I am all about supporting small businesses. And, you know, today we're going to be looking at Ruibals Nursery, and you can see we have walked into the greenhouse nursery section. So one thing I will say about Ruibals Nursery is they have a huge selection of plants, whether it is large plants, hanging baskets, and obviously seasonal plants. Now, you already know that in a day or two, it will be Christmas Eve, and we still have quite a bit of poinsettias, and you can see they have many varieties of poinsettias. The thing about poinsettias, and I ask this for all of my viewers, do you ever just really wonder what happens to all of the poinsettias after Christmas? You know, it is a little bit of a sad reality that a lot of these poinsettias only make it during the seasonal time of about 3 to 4 weeks, and then they end up either being composted. Most people do not grow poinsettias long term. Now, I have 3 poinsettias, variegated poinsettias, that I have added to my houseplant collection that I do intend, or at least try to keep long term. So we'll see what that looks like. But, you know, going back to the Ruibals Nursery, you can see that they have so many plants, and even though it is a cloudy day, you can see that the lighting over in this greenhouse is still spectacular. I have gone to Ruibals quite a bit, and one thing that I love about Ruibals is they constantly get rare and uncommon plants as well. Their plant pricing is fairly affordable, it's fair, and they have a lot of plant supplies, all the things that you need in a plant, you know, for your plant collection. So it's interesting that they do get so many different types of plants. And so I'm going to see if I will be able to find any aglaonema. So for those that have been watching my videos for the last 2 months, you already know that I am all about aglaonemas. Love aglaonemas in the sense that they are easy to care for plants. And if you want to ask my intent onto why I talk about aglaonemas, for instance, it's because I want to try to get more awareness for a plant that is really overlooked and just not talked about on social media. I just feel like, you know, whenever you talk about influencers or plant influencers, which I don't really see myself as being a plant influencer, I just like to make plant content and really just talk your ear off for about an hour about the plants that I am filming. But I just feel like if there is a little bit more chatter about a specific plant, maybe it becomes a little bit more trending. So we'll see if I find any aglaonema. So this one right here is a Chiflera trinate. white. I think that's how you call it. This is an umbrella plant, a variegated Schefflera. This is only for $39.99 in a 10-inch planter, and it has beautiful variegation. And what's interesting is this particular Schefflera you could find at a big box store like Home Depot, but it's not always in season when it comes to big box stores. And then obviously Epipremnum aureum, neon pothos. Love this pothos. And you know, if you're really going to ask me what pothos plant I tend to like the most, it would have to be the neon pothos, hands down. And the reason being is, even though it's not one of those Japanese pothos that are a little bit more rare and uncommon, I love neon colored plants. And you know, with neon colored plants, some of them are a little bit more hardy than others, and I would say the neon pothos is definitely one of them. It is a fast grower, and you know, in order for it to really maintain that neon color, you really want to make sure that you are providing it with quite a bit of bright indirect light. If you give it lower light conditions, again, plant foldies, the neon colored plants will tend to be a little bit greener, a darker green versus that neon color. We have a Philodendron gloriosum right over here, and as I pan away, you can see that this is a pretty big greenhouse. So I'm going to spend quite a bit of time highlighting a lot of the plants here. Now, for those that are local plant foldies that live out in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, do you ever check out Ruibals? What do you think about this particular location? Now, I know that this location is probably the largest one out of all the Ruibals locations that are out in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I will say, you know, as far as Ruibals, again, they source out so many different types of plants. Like this one right here is an Epipremna aureum Yesenia pothos, and you know, the Yesenia pothos is a little bit more uncommon of a plant in terms of the pothos varieties. Now, as far as Yesenia pothos, you know, it is a pothos, I would say, that easily reverts if you do not give it the right lighting conditions. So you really want to make sure that you are providing it with bright indirect light. Otherwise, it can easily revert back to green. Now, if you give it quite a bit of light, you can see that the variegation tends to be a little bit more sporadic, more random, and that's the thing about pothos plants. So in terms of pothos plants, pothos don't typically flower. I have yet to hear a pothos or an Epipremnum aureum really going into bloom, and a lot of times most plants that get that different type of hybrid or different type of mutation tends to come from seedlings that come from flowers. Well, with Epipremnum aureum, especially pothos plants, they don't really bloom, so a lot of the variegation or a lot of the different types of varieties come from mutations that happen naturally, that been able, you know, that somebody has either selectively propagated and actually has a stable variegation. That's one thing that has happened with a lot of the Yesenia pothos, for instance, or even the Japanese pothos. So that's just a little bit of some insights when it comes to pothos plants. And as you can see here, I am picking up some different types of plants, and throughout this video, plant foldies, I will just be talking to you a lot about the plant insights, my plant commentary, and just a lot of the things that a lot of people may not always go into full detail of. I mean, I could go and talk about plant care tips with each and every plant, but I feel like if you've watched my plant shopping videos, you are pretty much aware of the typical care tips for plants like this Philodendron gloriosum, for instance. What I would say about any philodendron that is a little bit more velvety in texture when it comes to the leaves is they are a little bit more spider mite prone, so you have to make sure that you are staying on top of the plant pest control, so spraying it down with neem oil, making sure that you have higher humidity levels. I mean, this particular philodendron would really benefit from that. And with the Philodendron gloriosum, it is not a climbing philodendron. It is a philodendron that likes to crawl across its substrate. So you want to plant that type of philodendron in a more, horizontal type planter where it can actually crawl across versus climbing up. Now, this Stramanthe sanguine, I think that's how you pronounce it. If I am mispronouncing it, please leave in the comments how I would pronounce it. But this is another plant, you know, with Stramanthes, like the Stramanthe triostar, for instance, they are related to the Calatheas. And, you know, as far as a plant, they are a little bit finicky, not nearly as finicky as a Calathea. And that's a plant I really wouldn't add to my plant collection, though, just because it is a little bit more of a challenging plant. Philodendron heteraceum Rio. So philodendron heteraceums in general general are gorgeous. And it's just interesting that Ruibals has these 8-inch hanging basket planters. Now these are for $74.99. That is slightly pricey, but if you want the instant gratification of a Philodendron Heteracea Rio, I mean, you can see that these are vining, so you can take several cuttings and propagate them in water and get several new plants out of it. And that's the thing about collecting plants for me. If I want to grow my plant collection, sometimes I just rely on my own self-propagations of my plants. I could definitely multiply a bunch of pothos plants, for instance, or Philodendron Heteracea, and be super satisfied with it. Pachira aquatica, and these are the stump varieties, and I really like how thick the trunks are. I do intend to get a Pachira aquatica. I do have a variegated form that I ended up buying at a plant swap out in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and that's another thing in terms of being able to source out some more rare or uncommon plants. Sometimes going to local plant swaps, doing plant trades with friends, joining a local Facebook page where they have a community where people offer up plants is another way to, I guess, acquire plants that may be a little bit more uncommon, be a little bit more rare. You don't necessarily have to go to a nursery to spend money and buy plants, but on the flip side, if you have a gorgeous plant shop like Ruibals, you can go to this nursery and you'll be able to buy easy care plants, uncommon plants, rare plants for a cost-effective price. Now this ponytail palm, I think it's super cute in the fact that it is in a 6-inch planter, $24.99. And you know, ponytail palms are actually not palms. They are actually succulent type plants. Now, as far as care tips for ponytail palms, again, since it is a succulent, typically succulents will need more of that bright light, and you want to make sure that you're planting it in a substrate that is fast draining, and you want to make sure that the soil is completely dry before you do another watering. The thing about these types of plants is if you overwater them, for instance, they are more susceptible to root rot. And what's interesting is this is a massive Monstera constellation. Did you know that Monstera constellations, especially in their juvenile form, tend to be more susceptible to root rot? That's really the biggest downfall of Monstera constellations, is as they develop and get larger, they become less susceptible to root rot. But as they begin their stages of life, you don't really want to overwater Monstera constellations. They tend to like to be more on the drier side. I have a Monstera constellation that I've been growing for years that is about that size. And then you can see right over here, we've got a sea of poinsettias. And again, you know, in terms of like seasonal plants, you know, plants that people grow as decorations for the seasons, for me, I just feel like plants should be able to be grown year-round, long-term, and not just as a decorative plant for a season. You know, I don't want to sound negative when I say this, but when I look at how gorgeous poinsettias are, I think about just the amount of effort it is to grow all of these plants, the amount of resources it takes to grow these plants, and they're really only relevant for a good month or so in the month of December. You know, they start to appear the second or last week of November, and then by January, which is literally just a couple of, you know, days away, they become irrelevant. And you know, the best times to buy seasonal plants like the poinsettias or even Christmas cactus is really right after Christmas. So we already know that Christmas Day is going to be happening this Wednesday, this week, and you know, anytime after Wednesday, I'm sure that all of these plants will either go 50% off, which I've seen already at some big box stores, or can even be heavily discounted. So if you're looking for ways to save money or to really manage your finances when it comes to plants, sometimes whenever you're buying a plant that is out of season, that is the best time to really find plants and really save some money. But as far as Christmas cactus, it is an easy to care for plant. This is another plant I would consider as more of like an heirloom type plant. A lot of people acquire Christmas cactus through family, whether it's your grandmother's cactus or somebody in the family. Oftentimes whenever I, you know, meet plant foldies or people who watch my my YouTube channel, whenever they discuss how they got you know, Christmas cactus, it's typically passed down from somebody in the family, which I find interesting. But as you can see right here, plant foldies, we are at Ruibals Nursery out in downtown Dallas, Texas. This is one of my favorite nurseries, and what I love about this greenhouse is it is ever changing. It is always evolving. They're always changing up the plants. I remember going to this nursery about 4 years ago and I was blown away. I was really thankful that one of my friends who doesn't do nearly as much plant content, Monstera Mike, was the one that introduced me to Ruibals, and I was really happy that I was able to discover this place, and I still consistently purchase plants. The thing about it is, whenever I go to like a local nursery or a small plant shop out in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I will not just be able to just film the plant shop. Like, it's really challenging for me to just go and film content. I always feel the need to purchase plants, and you already know, in terms of what plant I am looking for today, I am looking for some aglaonema, and sometimes they will get some rare and uncommon aglaonema. But you can see right here, this is a Dieffenbachia Sublime, and I actually bought the same size Dieffenbachia Sublime a little while back from another local chain of plant nurseries out in the Dallas-Fort Worth area called Callaway's Nursery. I ended up getting it only for $39.99, but unfortunately, as beautiful as this Dieffenbachia Sublime is, it just did not do well in my indoor space. I had it in my master bedroom. It did get western light, but it just didn't have the amount of light nor humidity for it to really thrive. So I ended up having to part ways with the plant. And that's the thing, plant foldies. I will ask, what plants that you have struggled with, what plants, when do you actually say that you have to just give up on a plant and realize that a plant is not really meant to be in your plant collection? I would really love that in the comments. Please, put some comments in the comments section and let me know your insights. Now, as far as poinsettia trees, so what I like about plants, and you can really pretty much do this with a lot of plants, like you can do this with coleus plants, and that was another plant obsession of mine, was coleus plants. But you can see poinsettia tree, $79.99. That is a really cool concept, and you can see that poinsettias, you can see that the tree is a little bit more mature. The stems have kind of gotten harder and become more woody, and that would be a really nice plant to grow long term. $79.99 is a little bit pricey for me. I would love to find like a variegated form of this, and when I say variegated, I'm saying that the poinsettias leaves in general are variegated, not just a color bracket. So if you look at the red, that is actually the leaves of the poinsettia. It's not necessarily the blooms. And there is a whole process that I wasn't really aware of on how to promote the color brackets of a poinsettia. I've heard that it is a bit of a tedious process. So for those that are a little bit more aware about, how to push out that color bracket for poinsettias around the holiday season, again, please leave comments in the comments section. And I did want to take a little bit of time to say thank you to all the plant foldies that continue to support my YouTube channel. I see you guys always tuning into my live premiere chats, and even though I may not always be able to have a brand new plant video, sometimes I will compile some of my older footage to make a longer video, just because I want to have that consistency in being able to have something to look forward to on the channel. And it's just really fun to chat with you guys. And one thing I did discover is that on the live premiere chats, you can put certain goals. So, in terms of like a super sticker, which is basically like a monetary tip, I can actually place that. And it was really fun to try that. And to the viewers that actually participated in that, thank you so much. It definitely helps fund my plant addiction. And I say that loosely. I do think that I need to scale back again on some of my plant buying, but in terms of just being able to get that, super sticker, I really appreciate it, and I will kind of keep it fun. There are incentives to those live premiere goals, so definitely check that out during the live premiere chats and see if we make that goal. In the next video, since we did reach the goal and somebody did drop a super sticker for like I think $2, I will pan in and show you a small snippet of my plant collection at home. I know everybody has been waiting to see my houseplant tour. It is coming maybe in the spring. I know I've been talking about it for quite a while, but my thing about it is I want to make sure that I showcase a very organized and curated plant collection for all of the plant foldies. I just feel like you guys deserve that content. You deserve that plant styling. storytelling. I'm all about trying to present plants in a way where it is inspiring as well as just more conventional and functional as well. But as you can see here, plant foldies, again, I am tuning into all of these beautiful poinsettia trees. I think whenever plants are displayed in a way that's typically not what you would see, it just makes them more interesting. And I really love the look of these poinsettia trees. Now, I will say, I did find some poinsettia trees also available at a local grocery store called H-E-B, which is basically only available in Texas. They had some poinsettia trees as well. But can you believe, plant foldies, that Christmas is about to happen? I will be honest and tell you that the holiday season is typically the most busy and stressful time for me in terms of just my career and just things in general. So I have felt a little bit bad that I haven't been able to really produce the daily plant shopping video, that consistency for me to be able to say get off of work and go to a big box store and film. So I do miss going to big box stores, but at the same time, it's only this week and next week, and things are just going to calm down a little bit for me to where I will have a little bit more time. So I was just really actually excited that I was able to visit Ruibals. I mean, you can see right here, Ruibals has so many plants, and I have to say, as somebody who grows plants, who collects plants, who goes to many different plant shops, if you're going to ask me again if Ruibals is a place that you should visit, it's highly recommended that you check out this location. I mean, because here it is. I was looking for an aglaonema. I don't know that plant ID for that aglaonema, but you already know, whenever you find, or at least whenever I find big aglaonema like this, like, look at how stunning this is. I don't even know the plant ID for this aglaonema, but what I do know is this is a need. So I am part of the Cultivation Corner plant podcast, which we will be premiering episode 3 on Stephen of I Lift Plants YouTube channel. And for those that haven't actually subscribed to the Cultivation Corner plant podcast, please search on YouTube Cultivation Corner, subscribe to the official YouTube channel. That is where the remaining episodes are going to be. The primary episode was debuted on my channel, and then the second episode was on Janae Simone's channel, so definitely subscribe to her channel. And then the third episode, which premieres this week, will be on Stephen of I Lift Plants, so definitely check it out. But as you can see here, aglaonema, and this aglaonema is not a bad price at all. I believe it was $49.99, but that is a huge 10-inch aglaonema with some really nice coloration. Love that as well. And so that's something I'm going to go revisit later on. But for now, plant foldies, I'm just going to keep walking around and showing you what other plants they have available at this greenhouse. And I'm actually glad that they have this aglaonema. I really wasn't expecting something like this. Typically, when you find an aglaonema that size, it's typically like an aglaonema silver bay or aglaonema stripes, but not something that has like the pink speckling on it. So I think that's really pretty. And then you can see right over here, we got a Scindapsus silver satin. This is a beautiful Scindapsus as well. And with Scindapsus, it is another plant that I like, but I wouldn't necessarily choose to pick to add to my plant collection. Like, I feel like if I'm going to get a plant like this, I would go more so with a golden pothos or a pothos plant. And then everybody's favorite, at least it's one of my classic favorites, this is an aglaonema red Siam. Yes, it is a super common plant. Yes, it is a plant that is overlooked, but it is a plant that deserves everybody's attention. This is for $23.99. And again, with an aglaonema red Siam, the more light you give it, the better coloration it'll push out. Sometimes it'll even have larger, broader margins of red on it. It is a beautiful plant. It is a plant that you can pretty much find at any place that sells plants, whether it's a big box store or a local nursery like Ruibals. But again, as far as like aglaonema care tips, Aglaonema are super easy plants. I would say they're the least fussy plants in terms of just plants that have a lot of coloration. With an Aglaonema red siam, you want to just wait till the water is complete. The soil is completely dry before you water it. Again, Aglaonemas do not like to be overwatered. And in terms of a plant being an easy to care for plant, it is a plant that if you have lower light conditions and are drought tolerant, that is a candidate for an easy to care for plant. Now, Monstera adansonii, it is another plant that I would say you need to stay on top of the watering. They don't really like to stay dry for too long. So make sure as soon as it's dried out completely in terms of the soil, you are watering the plant. And I'm trying to get this Epipremnum aureum Yersinia pothos out here. You can see this one is trailing. And if you notice, it's got that green on green variegation, but if you give it even better lighting conditions, you can see that the variegation is a little bit more pronounced. That is one of the things about certain pothos plants. Sometimes the variegation is so unstable, and it's basically really relying on the lighting conditions you give it. So if you don't give it that great bright indirect light, it eventually will revert back to just totally green, and it would be something that would be difficult to even push that variegation again. So something to keep in mind whenever it comes to like plants. And that's the thing about plants. If you're growing plants for variegation or coloration, you have to make sure that you understand whether it is the initial genetics of the plant that will have the plant push at variegation regardless of the lighting conditions, or if it is a plant that is influenced heavily by the lighting conditions. I always tell people, no matter what, bright indirect light is always going to be the best lighting for most indoor tropical plants. That same goes for like poinsettias. Poinsettias need quite a bit of light, and this poinsettia, for instance, which I have actually because I love the speckling, it almost reminds me of like a Monstera Thai constellation variegation. This particular poinsettia, or just poinsettias in general, are very thirsty plants. So if you let a poinsettia dry out completely, it will definitely shed its leaves. It will get leggy very quickly. And you can see right here, Philodendron Pink Princess. Now this one is growing on a pole, but then as soon as it's not attached to a pole, you can see that the leaves start to get a little smaller. You can see that this is pretty chunky right here, but as far as the Philodendron Pink Princess, it doesn't really have nearly as much variegation as some of the other Philodendron Pink Princess varieties we've seen really hitting the market. And a lot of that has to do with a specific Philodendron Pink Princess lineage. If you find one like the Philodendron Pink Princess Marble Galaxy, you will definitely get some really good variegation. And you can see right here, we've got a Philodendron Birkins. They've also gotten a different name for this plant. Sometimes it's also known as the Philodendron White Measure, although I feel like the Philodendron White Measure has more pronounced white stripes. It's a little bit lighter in color. Now this one is for $39.99, and you can see that this is slightly leggy, but it's still a nice looking plant. It is an easy to care for plant. I have one that's straight growing in hydroponics. It is a proven winner's Leaf Joy H2O bowl plant that I bought at Home Depot. Right next to it is a Dracaena for $179.99. This is a pretty large plant. It's pretty tall, and if you want a plant that is definitely easy to care for, drought tolerant and low light tolerant, this is a plant I would recommend. It is an easy to care for plant, and it is a plant that, even though it's just a green variety, it is one that you can find at a big box store or a local nursery like Ruibals. And as you can see right here, plant foldies, I'm just going to walk around and just pan around and show you all the different plants. Feel free to leave in the comment section what plants you like, what are some of your wish list plants, and just any insights you have in terms of plants. And if you made it this far into the video, plant foldies, please hit the like button. I would really appreciate it if you hit the like button, the thumbs up for this video. It definitely helps push out this content to more plant lovers like yourself. I'm hoping that we can get to 12,000 subscribers soon. And with the help of you hitting the like button, with the help of you watching my videos in its entirety, sharing my videos on social media with all of your other plant friends, as well as leaving many comments for me to respond to. It helps grow this channel, and it's just been a really fun journey this year. I can't believe that the year is about to end, but I do look forward to many exciting things happening in 2025. Definitely a houseplant tour for sure, and I know that you guys have been looking forward to that. I will definitely do that, and I might actually do a face reveal, but I will tell you this, if I do a face reveal, it's going to be really under my own accord. I've found some people being not as positive in terms of just calling me certain names, like calling me super weird because I don't want to go show my face on YouTube. And again, what I tell people when it comes to like faceless YouTube, there are a lot of content creators that are faceless. They don't necessarily show their face. There are many creative ways of actually showing yourself, but not necessarily your face on YouTube. And I have my reasons for that. And to be quite frank, it's because I really want to separate my personal daily life aside from my social media presence. You know, I always tell people, sometimes people overshare what they, of themselves on social media, which can sometimes end up being toxic, negative. And to be honest, I have my own little parameters for it. Now, there are some people that say that, showing yourself on YouTube makes it more personable. But for me, I feel like, having that air of mystery kind of draws people in, whether people want to call me super weird or not. I'm okay with, being called super weird. I just hope that people can respect that decision. And it's just interesting, the interest that people have, the opinions that people make in terms of just me going faceless on YouTube. There are lots of people on YouTube that are faceless. I literally had somebody go into the comment section and demand that I show myself on YouTube. And to me, that is one of the prime reasons why I don't feel entitled to share myself on social media, especially on YouTube, because of those types of demands. And I just really am thankful to all of the loyal plant foldies that understand where I'm coming from and will continue to support me regardless of whether you see my face or not. Now, if you go to like PlantCon or a plant show, or even just find me filming out at Ruibals Nursery, for instance, you can see me then. And I love meeting local plant foldies. I've met so many of you guys, and you guys have been awesome. And so that's one way to, if you want to ever see a face reveal, just say hi to me when I'm out and about. You can definitely tell if I am Richie of Grow Folds, because I am that one person that is basically using my phone to film all of these gorgeous plants. And can we say how beautiful Ruibals Nursery is? Like, all these beautiful plants, and it's just really fun that I was able to make it all the way down to Ruibals Nursery. It is a bit of a drive from where I'm based at, but it is worth it. I mean, take a look at this. This is a Philodendron variegated giganteum, and look at that variegation again right here. Now, as far as a philodendron that gets that size, I wouldn't really be able to house that in my plant collection. Whenever you are growing plants, you also have to really consider the space constraints of your home, or where you're going to put these plants. I wish I actually had a full-blown greenhouse where I could just have plants everywhere. But right now, if you were to look at my home, all of my plants are everywhere. It feels like a very disorganized jungle, if that makes any sense, versus something like this. Even Ruibals Nursery has a really good way of merchandising their plants and just really styling their plants as well, especially when you watch part 2 of this series of local plant nursery shopping at Ruibals. You will see how inspiring certain planters are, how you display plants, and that's the beauty of having a plant collection, is also the plant styling. So that's something that I want to delve into my plant collection eventually, and I'm going to show more of that content eventually. Now, over here, we've got a Hydra Helix, or what you call a Hedera Helix, or English ivy. And, for those that are new to the channel, I do mispronounce Hedera Helix as Hydra Helix, because for the longest time I thought it was Hydra Helix and not Hedera Helix for English ivy. Now, it looks like this particular English ivy is really meant to be grown outdoors. Typically, if you grow an English ivy outdoors, they are going to do much better for you than to grow them indoors. And when I say grow them outdoors, I don't necessarily mean plant them into your landscape, because it is a very invasive plant. I'm talking about just putting it in a shaded area in a planter and growing it outdoors. And then again, look at this gorgeous Dracaena. Again, this one, I love the neon borders, those neon leaves. And this one's for $49.99. And then you can see that there are tons of peace lilies. We've got some other plants right over here. Some type of ficus. I think this is a ginseng ficus. And you can see right here, $24.99. Ficus plants require quite a bit of light, so just make sure if you are going to grow a ficus plant that you provide it with bright indirect light for it to really thrive. They also don't like to be underwatered for long periods of time. And then over here, Dieffenbachia. So this is a Dieffenbachia, I believe, Mary Ann. And this is another beautiful Dieffenbachia. I just love the green color on it. It is a plant that I would be tempted to purchase. This is a Dieffenbachia, however, and you know, with Dieffenbachias, this one is for $59.99. Dieffenbachias are kind of on the opposite spectrum when it comes to like aglaonema. Aglaonema are super easy plants. They look like Dieffenbachia, except they're low light tolerant and drought tolerant. Dieffenbachia are kind of on the opposite. They definitely don't want to stay dry for too long. They require a little bit more humidity and they need lots of light. Otherwise, you will end up getting spider mites. It's a little bit more susceptible to that, and it will get very leggy very quickly when it is not happy. Epipremnum pinnatum, Cebu blue, beautiful plant, and this is on a trellis, and you can see that it's got that silver blue color with it. Now, if you don't provide it with quite a bit of bright indirect light, it will not have that silver shine to it, and if you don't provide it a place to climb on, the leaves will actually remain juvenile and it will be smaller, but as it climbs up, it gets larger and larger leaves to the point where it'll start to fenestrate. And for those that don't know what the term fenestrate means, it means that the leaves start to split. And I love Epipremnum pinnatum, Cebu blue. The one thing I discovered about Epipremnum pinnatum, especially the Cebu blue, is it does not like to stay dry for too long either. Otherwise, it starts to drop its leaves and it gets very leggy very quickly. But as you can see right here, plant folies, lots and lots of plants. This one is a Philodendron red imperial. Love that as well. Some people will mistake this as a black cardinal, but this is a red imperial. It is a philodendron that can get fairly large. And let's take a look. This is only for $39.99. That is not a bad price at all for a pretty large philodendron already. So this would be a plant that you could place on the floor and actually take up some space. And as I spin around here, you can see we've got ZZ plants and Stromanthe triostar, as well as Sansevieria trifasciata. Plant folies, you'll see that this Stromanthe triostar for $34.99 is a beautiful specimen. Really love the dark undersides of the leaves. Now, I have one that I super neglected, as in I did not water. And for some reason, even though a lot of the leaves crisped up and died back, I was able to revive it by just cutting it back down to the base, and it's able to push out some new shoots. So whenever you are taking care of plants, neglect can happen. And I mentioned this a lot in my videos just because I feel like we get super excited, especially when we go to a plant nursery, plant shop like Ruibals, where they have so many plants to pick from. The plants look super healthy. I mean, you can see right here, these Sansevierias, for instance, are amazing. But then we realize that either we have too many plants in our plant collection, which I know for a fact I am one of those plant people that have too many plants in my plant collection, or two, we get complacent or get comfortable with allowing a plant to just kind of sit in its space without really thinking about the specific care needs. And you know, through this channel, through my plant content and my plant shopping videos, I like to just give you guys insights on the realities of plants. So instead of beating ourselves down for maybe neglecting a plant or a plant going to plant heaven, we just have to really recognize and assess where we might have gone wrong, maybe the lighting conditions, but more times for me, it's literally just me failing to water them consistently. So just a couple of commentary on that. And I did want to show you how Ruibals for sure has so many different varieties of plants, but within the family genus, there's so many varieties. Like, take a look at all of these Dieffenbachia. Unfortunately, I don't know the Dieffenbachia plant ID names for each specific one, but you can see that they offer in 6-inch planters. And as far as care tips for Dieffenbachia, Dieffenbachia, and this is for $24.99 in a 6-inch planter. Dieffenbachia definitely require quite a bit of light. They need lots of bright indirect light. If you're able to provide a higher humidity level, it's going to do even better for you. Dieffenbachia, also known as a dumb cane, as it matures, it does get a little bit leggy. It's really its natural way of growing. But like this one right here, this Dieffenbachia for $24.99, you can see that it's super full. It's probably got several plants. And what's interesting about Dieffenbachia, it's similar to an aglaonema in a sense that it does push out little baby pups that you can chop off and separate from the mother plant. They do look similar. Dieffenbachia looks similar to aglaonemas, but their care requirements are on complete opposite spectrums. Whereas Dieffenbachia definitely need a lot of bright indirect light. Aglaonema do not. They can tolerate lower light conditions. Dieffenbachia can be more finicky if you do not water them a little bit more consistently. So things of that nature when we look at the plants at Ruibals is just the care tips, being aware about it. Like this one right here, I believe this is the Dieffenbachia. It might be Marianne. I'm not 100% sure. So again, plant foldies, if you know the specific plant ID, leave in the comment section with the timestamp on the specific plant ID. I love learning from our plant foldies. I will say that a lot of my information not only comes from my grandmother, who is basically the inspiration, the reason why I got into plants to begin with, but also just learning from our plant foldies. I read all the comments in the comment section, and I have learned quite a bit from the plant foldies. I also love hearing about your plant care tips, your plant insights, what plants you're getting, and anything else related to plants. You know, not only is this YouTube plant channel a plant shopping channel, a plant content channel, it really is a community for us to kind of congregate and celebrate plants. So again, if you made it this far into the video, leave some comments. Also, hit the like button for this video. It definitely helps push this content out to more plant lovers like yourself. I know that I repeat myself multiple times on there, but I cannot stress to y'all how helpful it is for you to hit the like button. So definitely hit the like button on that. But as you can see, on a cloudy day at Ruibals in downtown Dallas, Texas, we are seeing several plants. Like this one right here is a Ficus umbellata, and I have a Ficus umbellata. I ended up buying it at a big box store on sale at Home Depot. It was like $15. The problem is with Ficus umbellata, it just tends to be a little finicky, even when I'm providing it with more light. I don't know if it's just requiring more humidity levels. Something isn't really right when it comes to my Ficus umbellata, but you know, it's still surviving. It's not necessarily thriving, it's surviving, and that's really all I can ask. There's some plants that, you know, for instance, is Philodendron giganteum. It's beautiful at the store, but mind you, plant foldies, you've really got to be paying attention to what that plant looks like when it comes back into your house, because all of our homes may not necessarily be equipped with that type of lighting condition, humidity level, or even space. Now over here, I'm going to pan away and show you this Ficus altissima. So this is a beautiful variegated Ficus elastica. Love it as well. And what's interesting is in a Southeast Asian country like the Philippines, for instance, this plant can grow out in full sun, and it can get to heights of 25 to 30 feet and become a full blown tree. I wish I could grow that. You know, I'm based out in North Dallas, and with the weather getting a little bit cooler, although I will say Christmas holiday week has been really nice. It's only been into the 60s. So even for me to get plants overseas, it is still fairly safe for me to get imports. And for those that haven't watched my import videos of some of these plants that I got from Green Spaces ID, definitely check it out. And as I pan away here, this is a gorgeous plant paradise, and that is why I love just taking the time to go to plant shops, plant nurseries, sometimes just being mindful. And you know, for me, whenever I do my process of filming these plants, it literally is me practicing mindfulness, just really focusing on these plants right here. For instance, look at these Dracaena Song of India. You know, care tips for Dracaena Song of India, as I mentioned in my previous videos, it requires lots of bright indirect light. So it's not the typical Dracaena where it can tolerate lower light conditions, which brings me to another point. even though plants are in the same genus or family, it doesn't necessarily mean that all of the plants in that genus have similar care tips. Some of them have very diverse care tips, and so it's always important to do your research whenever you are going to acquire a plant. I mentioned this on ways to save money on plants. Well, number one, realize what plants can be grown into your plant collection. So look at, again, your housing condition, what lighting conditions you have, what routines you have to be able to take care of the plants, what time you can invest. Also, once you figure that out, I always say to prevent impulse buying. And I am one of the main people that have a problem when it comes to impulse buying. I think a lot of our plant lovers are, because we'll go into a plant shop, right? And I'm showing you, for instance, this Philodendron ring of fire. Beautiful plant. Didn't really intend to buy a Philodendron ring of fire, but all of a sudden, either the price is right, the plant becomes more of a need versus a want. And if you follow the plant podcast that I'm part of with Janae Simone and Steven at I Live Plants, we have this term called a want or a need plant. A need plant is a plant that you cannot leave the store. You need it today. Or if you have a plant that you want, it is more of like a wish list plant. It's a plant that you can not have to buy right then and there. You can wait on whether you have to get enough budget for the plant, or it's just a plant that you want but don't necessarily need. So, preventing yourself from always having that idea of needing plants will help you save some money. And even though Ruibals has some amazing plants, I know that if I'm going to buy a plant today, the only plant that I would need would definitely be that aglaonema that I found, because it's really challenging to find large size aglaonemas, especially at many local nurseries or even big box stores, aside from the aglaonema Silver Bay, or aglaonema BJ Freeman, for instance. So, that's one that I didn't want to pass. And as far as like shopping for plants, right? We're at Ruibals Nursery. You notice that the majority of their plants are super healthy. I mean, you can see right here, Raven Zizi, right? One of the easiest plants. Now, if you're going to buy a plant, I always say inspect the tops of the leaves, the bottoms of the leaves. Look at the soil. Look at the roots. Look at the drainage hole. If there's a drainage hole and you see roots popping out, that means that the roots are fairly established. And this Raven Zizi is clearly happy because you can see that there is new growth. If you inspect the plant and you see all of those positive signs, then it would be a go for me in terms of just buying the plant, because for the most part, the high potential of plant pests is a little bit reduced by actually inspecting the plant and then just even seeing the overall aesthetic of the plant. So that's another question. Another plant foldie asked me about just what I do in terms of the plant whenever I'm buying plants. How do I inspect them? So that's basically the simple form of it. Now, whenever you're buying a plant, like for instance, this Ficus lyrata, I always tell anybody who asks me for my opinion, to always assume that the plant might have a hitchhiker. No matter how healthy the plant looks, no matter how reputable the nursery is, sometimes, plant pests are microscopic. So you have to have a routine when it comes to taking a plant indoors. So for me, the majority of beginners may not always realize that you have to either spray your plant with, I always suggest organic, mixtures like neem oil spray to at least prevent any potential eggs, any potential hitchhikers for plants. Because what messes up plants for people is plant infestations. The amount of times I've had a full-blown plant infestation, the worst one was whenever I have had a thrift plant infestation or a mealybug plant infestation. It really made me depressed in a sense that I just thought that I could combat a plant pest. And then that also goes back to just having so many plants in general to take care of. And, as 2025 approaches, as the holidays come around, I know that I probably splurged on a lot of plants. I try to justify, I bought another plant because it's Christmas, it's a present for me. But I want to try to reframe that mindset and think maybe I should give myself a present by allowing myself to at least enjoy the plants that I currently have, to be able to share those plants, to be able to do a house plant tour. And I already know plant foldies, y'all have been waiting for this for the longest time. It's coming. We'll see what that looks like in 2025. It's coming. But at least having that mindset that we can try to justify buying plants, try not to buy plants, but overall, the best thing you can do is actually just go to a local plant shop like Ruibals and just enjoy the plants. Like this right here, you already know it's an aglaonema. I believe this could be an aglaonema pink valentine. You know, with aglaonema varieties, it literally just takes a speck of variegation, a striping of variegation, a stem color to differentiate them. Sometimes they're very similar. We're gonna see how much this costs. It looks like this one is also for $59.99, so it is a little bit of on the pricier side. But again, when it comes to aglaonema with more color, aside from that silver greenish color, they are going to be a little bit more pricey. And as far as aglaonema, they're very slow growers, which is really the only downfall for aglaonemas. But at the same time, they come with so many varieties, so many colors. And I can't help but like pin over all of the poinsettias. I intend to possibly buy some more poinsettias right after Christmas, because I feel like you will get the best plant pricing when it comes to any holiday or any season after the season, if that makes sense. But you can see poinsettias, they have really evolved with many different hybrids. It seems like year after year, I find different types of hybridized plants, and poinsettias are not an exception. You can see they've got pink varieties, variegated varieties. It is amazing. Now, as far as all of the plants that I'm looking at here, these are large form ZZ Raven plants. And you know, ZZ Raven plants, they're so easy. As in, like, I have a ZZ Raven plant that I probably have not watered for more than a month and a half, 2 months, and it's still living. It's not dying. There's not a lot of growth happening, but it's definitely still living. And that's another thing about those plants, is it just takes you know, easy care plants to make your plant journey easy. And I know that I feature a lot of different types of plants, but I am trying to pivot a little bit Plant Foldies on showing you more of the easy care plants, more of the quote basic plants. And if you haven't seen Cultivation Corner Plant Podcast Show episode 3, definitely check it out, because it is an episode strictly talking about basic overlooked, underrated plants. So I hope you can take a look at that. It is on the YouTube channel at I Lift Plants. My friend Steven, who also is a Plant Foldie, it's on his channel. Now, I will ask all of our Plant Foldies to become a cultivator. That's what we're calling all of our viewers on the Cultivation Corner YouTube channel. Search Cultivation Corner on YouTube to find the channel. If you haven't already, please subscribe, because episodes 4 and 5 will be on those episodes, and all of the future seasons will be on that. So I hope you can support my side project. You know, Janae Simone, she is an amazing plant influencer. So is Steven. I've really built a great friendship with them, and I just love the fact that there are multiple plant lovers that combine to create some different type of plant content. So let me get off of my spiel. I know that a lot of my newer videos right now have me talking more so about things going on in my personal life aside from that face reveal. You know, it's just so interesting that everybody wants me to do a face reveal, and for me, I'm just comfortable doing it this way, giving you the plants and talking through the lens of this camera. So anyways, you can see right here, Plant Foldies, Hedera Helix. I haven't said Hedera Helix in a long time, and I know you Plant Foldies, the ones that have been with me since day one, like it. I don't know why. I do know that I love Hedera Helix, at least the look of it. And I was actually at a big box store, Lowe's, where they had like 11 different types of varieties of English ivy. The only problem with English ivy, like I said again, is it is a challenging houseplant. We've got plant influencers, plant YouTubers that have also mentioned Hedera Helix or English ivy is a little bit more challenging to grow indoors, and the reason being is because of the care. Sometimes it just becomes more spider mite prone indoors, so that's really the reality of it. But the one thing I would say about going to Ruibals in downtown is I would suggest going on a weekday, because it's right next to the farmer's market and it is really busy. Sometimes parking can be a little bit of a challenge, but if you're willing to pay the meter, you are good to go. But for anybody that isn't traveling or that is traveling to Dallas, that isn't a local, definitely check Ruibals Nursery. The one downtown is supreme. I love the indoor shop that they have. So I've only spent a lot of time on the indoor houseplant section, if that makes any sense. Definitely look for part 2 where I go into the indoor section, and we'll see what that looks like in terms of the comparison. But for me, part 2 is going to really go into the plant styling, the plant products, the plant accessories, and that makes it fun as well. And for those that are celebrating Christmas Eve with your family, I would love to hear your family traditions. Do you actually give plants as presents on Christmas? What does that all look like for you? I know that I am happy that I will be with my grandmother Christmas Eve, so feel free to leave comments to ask her any questions. For those that know my grandmother, I'm hoping that I could do a little plant content with her as well. I love my grandmother very much, and I'm excited that we are heading into 2025 together. She will be 90 years old, but she is of sound mind and body, and it's because of plants. Like whenever you pause and look at these Ruibal plants, for instance, just knowing how plants have helped her with her health, her mental health, her physical health, it is amazing. And that's the reason why I hope that I continue to cultivate plants, to be able to grow them, to be able to share my love for plants, and also just to be able to make this content to support and promote all of these local plant shops in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Ruibals, they've always been kind to me. Like, I always feel kind of silly going around just walking quietly and just filming plants. Like, I hope that people really don't think I'm that silly to be doing that, but it's just one of those things where maybe some of the plant folies may not have this access to all of these plants. And I cannot thank you enough for always taking the time to look at my plants, watch my videos, engage in some of my compilations where I may not necessarily be able to create a new plant shopping videos, but even engaging with me on the chat. Really love that. I think that is the best present that any plant foldie can give me, is literally your engagement, your viewership, watching my channel, sharing my videos to other plant lovers. So I have spent quite a bit of time just kind of rambling away, I suppose, but feel free to think that this is a plant YouTube channel that is somewhat like a podcast, is somewhat like a personal blog, just without the face and with lots of plants. But to go back to the plants, as you can see right here, Ruibals has many different sizing for plants. So if you want a plant that's a little bit more established, a little bit larger, like these Pachira aquatica, you can purchase that. And as far as local nurseries, whenever I'm looking for like specific plants like aglaonema, I will go ahead and invest on the larger plants because it is more of an instant gratification. Sometimes I don't want to wait that long to get a statement piece plant. So leave it in the comments, plant foldies, and let me know if you've actually bought a poinsettia this season. I cannot believe that, Christmas is here. Christmas is around the corner. Christmas is everywhere, and the holiday season is in full effect. It has been a long one for me, but one thing I will say is plants have really helped me get through the holiday season in a positive manner. It has really helped me stay grounded. It has de-stressed me on so many levels, and this plant community has as well. Sometimes we have to accept what we can accept and let go of the things that we do not have control of. For me, as far as my plants, for instance, there's just a couple of things I want to change up in how I go about, acquiring my plants, my plant routines, and just really getting that. I know that for me, I will be buying about 3 clear cabinets at IKEA to display my plants. I really think that having a lot of my plants on the floor, it just looks really cluttered. And that's the reason why when it comes down to doing a houseplant tour, I want to make sure that it is presentable for the plant foldie community. Now, as far as Ruibals, if you have any questions about the plants about Ruibals that I've featured today, definitely leave that that in the comments section. I know that if there are any wish list plants, they do take listings, and they'll take your name and phone number and contact you if they get the plant you were looking for. I remember that Ruibals tends to actually have some more uncommon and rare plants make it into their plant shops, and this is not the only Ruibals plant shop nursery in the DFW, but this is the one that I prefer the most, just because they have a phenomenal indoor tropical house section, however you want to put it, because they've got lots of plant styling ideas, plant accessories. Now, if you can see right here, I am spending a little bit more time on the larger plants, and the reason being is these plants, if you go to like a big box store, it's typically the same type of plants, but you can see that they have different varieties of Dieffenbachia. Earlier I showed you a clown fig, which looks like a variegated Pachira aquatica or money tree, but it is not. And then you can see the stark difference between this Dracaena right on the very left, and then we have a Dieffenbachia Mary Ann, and I really am tempted to buy this because that foliage, that green neon colored foliage, is absolutely stunning. So, it's one of those situations where do I buy the plant? Do I not buy the plant? What should I do with the plant? There's just a lot of thoughts that sometimes go through my head whenever I'm even making plant shopping videos. I will say, as far as the next couple weeks, as things slow down a little bit for me in terms of my career and work, I should be able to be more consistent about doing big box or plant shopping videos. I honestly miss going into big box stores. I honestly just miss filming plants and creating that plant content. But as the new year comes around, there's just many things to celebrate about. As Christmas and the holidays are in full effect, I just want to reflect on the fact that I've been very just thankful to the community we have here. And I have repeated that on so many levels, but there's no words that I can express to all of the plant lovers that really embrace who I am as a person and just the kind of content that I can provide for y'all. But Ruibals, if you haven't done your Christmas shopping, now I don't know if they're actually open on Christmas Eve, definitely buy Ruibals plants. There are many varieties. Again, tell them you are a plant foldie. Let's go into full effect. And, as far as these plants right here, ZZ plant, you need this. I think that could be more of a need for anybody. I wouldn't even hold anybody hostage in terms of why you should buy a ZZ plant. It's very self-explanatory. It is one of the easiest plants to take care of. And as I pan away and give you a couple more shots, I will say again, everybody have a happy holidays. Spend it with your friends, spend it with your family. And if you're not able to spend it with your family or friends, spend it with your plants. Have yourself a plant Christmas, a plant holidays, surround yourself in all that greenery and be proud of yourself for having all of these gorgeous plants. Feel free to share your plant stories or comments in the comments section. But you can see that this plant nursery, this plant shop, Ruibals, has quite a bit of poinsettias. And that's the thing about any local nursery or even big box store, you'll see all the seasonal plants. So I'm curious to see what happens to all the poinsettias after December 25th. Do they all go on clearance for like 70% off? And then what happens, or what plants replace the poinsettias? What I will say about Ruibals Nursery is, as I pan away here, it is a large space. It doesn't get super crowded during the weekends. Now not during the weekends, during the weekdays, sorry. But during the weekends, it can get a little bit crowded. So I always suggest, if you're able to go to a nursery, definitely check it out more on the weekday. But as always, please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Also subscribe to my YouTube channel at Grow Folds. This is Richie sending you guys happy holidays, and I will see you soon. Good day, my plant foldies. This is Richie at Grow Folds, and today we'll be local plant shopping at Ruibals Plants of Texas in Dallas, Texas. As always, please make sure you're hitting the like button for this video, as well as following me on Instagram at Grow Folds. That is the fastest way to get in touch with me, and definitely check this little commercial out. And you can see that was the Cultivation Corner Plant podcast show that I am part of with Janae Simone and Stephen of I Live Plants. We have actually debuted episodes 1, 2, and 3. The first episode was on my channel. The second episode was on Janae Simone's channel. And the third episode was on Stephen's channel at I Live Plants. And the fourth and future episodes will actually be on the Cultivation Corner Plant Podcast YouTube channel. So if you haven't already, please make sure you are going to that channel, hitting the subscribe button, and also putting all the notification bell on, because that's where all of our plant podcast episodes will be premiering in the future. So next week, actually, we will have episode 4 premiere, and I hope that you guys will all join us. But as you can see right here, this is part 2 of the Ruibals Plants of Texas plant shopping video that I created or filmed right before the holidays. I hope everybody has had an amazing Christmas Eve and everybody is enjoying an amazing Christmas Day with all of their loved ones. I happen to be able to visit my mom and dad and my family and my grandmother, and it was just a fun time. You know, just being able to spend some time with the family over the holidays makes all of the busyness, the stresses of the holiday season worthwhile. I'm thankful to have a really close-knit family, and to just be able to have a really good conversation with my grandmother about her thoughts about this year and what she looks forward to next year. She will be turning 90 in 2 months, so I am super excited to celebrate that milestone for her, and I hope that I would be able to be of sound mind and health when I reach 90. I mean, not a lot of people are fortunate to get to that age, and she is truly blessed. But anyways, as you can see right here, plant foldies, I did want to go ahead and get this gorgeous plant shop, Ruibals, film. This is the indoor section with all of the decorative pots, plant accessories. You can see right here, we've got some Philodendron orchids. Now, these Philodendron orchids are not in bloom, which makes them discounted in price. A lot of plant nurseries, plant shops will reduce the plant pricing for orchids, Philodendron orchids, when they're not in bloom, because a lot of people will just buy orchids because they need the bloom. Now, these are 50% off. And again, if you're looking to save money on plant shopping, plant pricing, that's one of those things where you have to always be mindful of when certain plants will go on clearance or on sale. You can see right here, these are some fairly large Philodendron orchids, variegated forms. I did get a variegated Philodendron orchid for also 50% off, but it was actually in bloom. I happened to get it during, I think, a Memorial Day special at a local plant shop called Callaway's Nursery, which is another chain of Dallas-Fort Worth nurseries. I am based out in North Dallas, and for those that are new to the channel, I call my viewers and subscribers plant foldies. Welcome, my name is Richie. I do 1-hour plant shopping videos daily. Welcome to the community, and if you're able to make it during a live premiere, definitely say hello in the chat. I recently discovered how to make goals on the live premiere chat, which is basically super stickers. And for those that don't know what super stickers are, or super thanks, it's basically a monetary tip that you can put in the chat section, or even if you're watching this video, it's that little dollar sign. And that's the exciting part about having a YouTube channel. That's one way to help support the channel. I know that those who have given me a super sticker or a super thanks, any monetary value truly helps me with my supplies in terms of just my gas that I use to travel around all of these plant nurseries, or better yet, to be able to buy gifts or even spend money on some plants that I have a wish list look for. So, you know, again, thank you for those that have actually put in a super sticker. Really appreciate that. So if you're watching the live premiere chats, definitely look for the goal in the live premiere chats. But anyways, going back to Ruibals Plants of Texas, you can see that they have a pothos wall, or an Epipremnum aureum pothos. This one is for $8.99 in a 4.5-inch planter. Really love the golden pothos. Super easy plant to take care of. Then we have another neon pothos right here. This is a classic pothos, again, for $8.99. And, you know, as far as pothos, like I've always encouraged those that watch the plant shopping videos, these are plants that I suggest anybody adding to their plant collection, because they're very easy plants. You can grow them up a totem pole, a moss pole to get larger leaves, or you can make them a trailing hanging basket type plant. Either way is fine, but if you really want to see the leaves get large, if you let them climb up a pole, they will definitely get larger leaves. And then over here, we have another neon pothos right here. The thing about the neon pothos, just like any neon plant, The more bright light you give it, the more neon or yellowish the color will be. The less light you give it, the more green it's going to look like. And then this is a philodendron that is very fast growing. This one is for $8.99, and this is a philodendron red emerald. So I remember getting 2 cuttings from a red emerald. They were just 1 leaf, 1 node cuttings, and I was able to grow them out. They root so quickly, and that particular philodendron definitely needs to be on a pole. That's what it wants to do, is climb. And then we have another Epipremnum aureum emerald pothos. So the emerald pothos is really a more like subdued global green pothos. It has some green on green variegation, but it's very I guess just not as pronounced. So, you know, some people will say that it's just a reverted enjoy pothos. And then over here is an Epipremnum aureum marble queen pothos. Again, $8.99 at Ruibals. And you can see that they have a wall. It's almost like they've got shelves. So you could take several 4.5-inch planters of pothos plants and let them grow. You don't necessarily have to put them all in one pot. And you can see that these plants create a nice little statement. And then over here, Dracaena Limelight. So Dracaena Limelight is a Costa Farms exotic angel plant that you will find at big box stores, but you can see that you know, $5.98 Costa Farms starter plant can become that large plant right over here. We've got some macrame stuff. We've got little vials with I suppose little leaves. I'm just gonna go right here. It looks like it is made in France, some type of fragrance, so that's really interesting. And again, with Ruibals Plants of Texas, this particular location has some really nice just curated selections of plants and displays. You can see that they also have pre-made terrariums. This one is for $92, for instance, and they've got different types of substrates, different types of rocks. And I love the fact that they even have a little setup where you can have a grow light. And you can see right here, this is another terrarium. This looks like it has like a Philodendron heteroecium Brazil and some other stuff in it. And you know, as far as terrariums, that's something that I was into creating a couple years back when I was really into plants. You know, I have these cycles where I get a bunch of plants, I'm really into them, and then something like a plant pest infestation kind of discourages me, and then I give up, and then I just let go of all my plants. But as of this year though, especially doing plant shopping videos on a daily basis and just really sharing plant care tips and just being able to see these plants, it's really kept me grounded. It's really just made me more accountable to making sure that I'm not neglecting my plants. I don't necessarily let life get in the way, you know, and that's the thing I've talked about with a lot of our plant foldies here is when you're buying plants, you really have to look at your time that you have invested on the plant, your lighting conditions, and just indoor space in general, and just your daily routines. I mean, for me, I have been so busy this past holiday season. I think it started when it was like October, where I'm literally working an average of like 10 to 12 hours a day, sometimes even more. And it just became a little bit, I guess, stressful for me in the fact that I had my daily routine of being able to go to like a big box store, film for an hour, edit the video. Now these videos on average take about 3 to 4 hours in process to get this. So like that's really assimilated with my daily routines on top of a working, very busy working schedule. But, you know, overall, as the year ends, and, you know, I'm not really talking about the plants, but just hear me out, plant foldies. As the year is about to end and as this holiday season comes to a close, I am thankful that I've been able to at least maintain that consistency, but even more so be able to grow this community of plant lovers. Plant foldies, you guys are amazing. And, you know, being able to show you these terrariums and just these curated selections of plants by Ruibals Plants of Texas is just exciting for me. And, you know, you can see here that they also sell aquatic plants. So they also have these different types of inspiration you can do. I do think that me converting a lot of my current plants into semi-hydro substrates have really helped me with my plant care. And then you can see here they do have calathea. So these are more of their terrarium type plants, starter plants and 2-inch planters. These are for $7.99. So you can see this is some type of calathea. And then we have this thenanthe, and I do have this version of a thenanthe in my plant collection. And surprisingly, I don't water it nearly as much, and the leaves are not really crisping. So sometimes either plants just acclimate or just get lucky, but that is a pretty hardy type of thenanthe plant. All of these plants right here, like this Calathea macoyana, that's super cute, $7.99. Again, these are starter plants to create a terrarium That's something I want to do next year because I do have a clear lamp that I can convert into a terrarium. I may just utilize plants that have already propagated in water. I think that's super easy. I have one terrarium which has a bunch of little global green pothos. I haven't done a lot, but at the same time, they're still alive. It is just its own little micro sphere where it just pretty much takes care of itself. But as I pan away here, what a beautiful plant shop. And that's again Plant Foldies. If you're ever going to visit Dallas, definitely check out Ruibals Plants of Texas. This specific one is in downtown, and you can see all of these gorgeous little displays that they have, ways to like display plants. You can see that they've got some sphagnum moss, and even just the black rocks to create a little staircase is really nice. And that's the thing about plant styling. So a lot of us may end up just collecting plants to collect plants, but when you start to style your plants, when you start to really give them some interesting planters, or hang them, or cluster them in a grouping that makes sense, that's when the actual mindfulness, the actual enjoyment of just growing plants in general. Like, I mean, even here, just a simple neon pothos right here, and that is in a gorgeous little planter. I love that. And it's not actually planted into the planter, so that planter is actually being utilized as like a catch pot. Most of the time people will just use the nursery planter and just put them in a catch pot like that. That's an easy way to go about plants, so you can switch up your plants in terms of just having that. I do prefer planters that even though they're catch pots, to have a drainage hole in case I do want to actually pot up a plant in the planter. And you can see right here, this is a Philodendron gloriosum. It looks like it might either have some variegation or there might be something wrong with the plant. Another beautiful philodendron. It is a crawling philodendron. So that's another type of philodendron that I haven't really delved into. Most philodendrons want to climb up. Some philodendrons, like the gloriosum, want to crawl across like a soil substrate. And then over here, look at that hanging basket. And it's got a clear pot right here. It looks like this one, this marble queen pothos, is in a substrate called stratum. I don't really know a lot about stratum. I've just gotten into lechuza pond, and unfortunately, Amazon still is out of stock of lechuza pond. So if anybody knows where I can source some really inexpensive or at least cost-effective lechuza pond, please let me know. That is one of my favorite substrates for my semi-hydroponic plantings. And then as I spin around here, there's just so many cool grow lights, little plant stands, and even decorations. Look at this, is another gorgeous Philodendron gloriosum. Look at how beautiful that is. Really love that. Actually, I don't know if it's 100% Philodendron gloriosum. Somebody might have to correct me in the comment section. Please leave the actual plant ID. I don't know if it is a Philodendron gloriosum, but this one right here is a Calathea dotty. Beautiful plant. And then right over here is a Philodendron Florida green, and the Florida green is just basically the green version of the Florida series. So we've got a Philodendron Florida Beauty, which is a variegated form. They've got a Philodendron Florida Ghost, which is more of like the minty form, and then we also have a Philodendron Florida Bronze, which is more of a darker form. But this one is just a standard green variety, but needless to say, it is still a beautiful plant. Now, to get the more mature leaves, this is a philodendron again that needs bright and direct light, but more importantly, it needs to be able to climb up a moss pole, some type of pole, in order for it to really get those leaves to size up. And then again, we have a Dracaena Limelight. With Dracaenas, super easy to care for plants. I do believe Dracaenas in general are overlooked plants, and I hope that as you guys continue to watch my plant content, my plant shopping videos, you will be more open to the more easy care basic plants that you can find readily available at like local nurseries or big box stores. Like here, we've got Venus flytraps, and the thing about it is these carnivorous, carnivorous plants are a little bit more challenging. These are for $9.99, but the thing about carnivorous plants is they need a little bit higher humidity level. So even having them in like a humidity dome, their water needs to be pretty much purified water. You do not want to water a carnivorous plant with like tap water from the sink. They prefer rainwater, and they also have specific food needs. So obviously they're carnivorous plants, so they actually need like bugs and things like that. But you can see that this is actually some plant food that you can feed your carnivorous plants. So quite interesting. I don't really know a lot about carnivorous plants. Now, as far as a place to buy carnivorous plants, one local nursery out in Austin, Texas is called Carnivero. definitely check that out. Definitely check their Instagram page. My brother actually went to college with Drew Martinez, who actually owns Carnivoro Plants, and he has one of the biggest selection of carnivorous plants. So definitely check that out. And then I talked about the planters and plant styling. Like, look at this. Epipremnum neon pothos. Again, just love that neon colored. And I love the simplicity of that teal planter right there. I am all about that. You know, for me, I look at my plants, I kind of get discouraged sometimes about just some of the health of the plants, or maybe even the clutterness of my actual home. And I just need to bite the bullet one day, maybe spend a weekend where maybe I don't make plant content. Maybe I just spend time getting my plants together. Now, as far as my next time I'm off, I do want to buy at least 3 IKEA cabinets to go ahead and, you know, place my plants there. I just think that it would be more beneficial to get some type of organization to where, number one, I could start the new year off with a really big, full-blown houseplant tour. And then number two, this is just some news I wanted to share with the Plantfoldy community. I am thinking about getting a dog, and I know some people are like, well, you're already struggling keeping up with your plants. I am downsizing my plants. I think that that was a deal that I had to make with myself, is if I am going to get a dog, I was thinking of, you know, downsizing my plants. Maybe I'm scaling back a little bit on my plant content, but you know, the breed of dog I was wanting to actually get would be a Shiba Inu. So for those that actually have a Shiba Inu dog, it's a Japanese variety of a dog. Please leave it in the comments if you have one, what your care tips are, what you think of the dog, because it is so cute. I've spent actually quite a bit of time on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day just kind of doing my research on Shiba Inus, and I think that's a dog that I want to eventually get sometime early this year. But as I go and spin around Ruibals Plants of Texas, the indoor shop right here, they've got some beautiful plants. Like this one right here is a Philodendron panduriforme. I think that's how you pronounce it. I guess but this one is for $9.99. And honestly, I regret purchasing this philodendron because the mature leaves on this particular philodendron is stunning. And you know, for $9.99, that is not a bad plant at all. But then again, it is all about, you know, trying to maintain a certain level of manageable plants, a certain number. Like, leave in the comments, Plantfoldies, if you feel like you have way too many plants to take care of, that you've inundated yourself with plants, or do you feel comfortable with the amount of plants you have in your plant collection? I would really like to know. I mean, anybody who actually takes the time to type up a comment, I appreciate it, because I love that engagement. And also, Plantfoldies, if you have made it this far to the video and continue to watch this video, thank you so much for doing it. You already know the drill. If you haven't already, please make sure you are hitting that like button, that thumbs up for this video. I cannot tell you how much it helps this channel really grow, just because the more likes this video gets, the more engagement, and that actually pushes this plant content out to more plant lovers like yourself. I'm hoping to continue to grow this channel. We've been growing at a steady pace, but with your help, by just hitting the like button, by leaving several comments, and just really engaging and watching the entire video, that actually helps out a lot. And I hope you guys actually enjoy the plant content, because even me walking around Ruibals Plants of Texas, showing you all of these gorgeous plants, like this Calathea Beauty Star, $21.99 in a 6-inch planter, it's just a fun process for me. I think that's the part where I don't feel like YouTube or making plant content on YouTube, especially on a daily basis, even feels like work. You know, some of my friends and family say, you're putting too much effort and work into YouTube. But for me, it is more of a relaxing routine for me. It's a way for me to just really enjoy the plants, because if you ever catch me at a local nursery in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, you'll see me just kind of panning around with my phone and filming my plants silently, and really just taking in all of the beauty of plants, like the ZZ Chameleon. And what's interesting is that ZZ Chameleon right here is actually a Costa Farms trending tropical. I've noticed that Costa Farms has even delved into a lot of these local businesses, these small businesses, and actually sourced out these plants. Now, this one is for $34.99. I would say if you buy this as a big box store plant, it is going to save you a little bit more money. You know, typically at Lowe's, Home Depot, or Walmart, you could find a trending tropical for like $19.98. However, like I've said before, if you want to support local businesses, small businesses, I am all for it. And even though this channel is, the majority of my content is mostly big box store, I can't help but actually, feature and highlight these gorgeous plant shops that the Dallas-Fort Worth area has. I do want to delve into a lot more of the Fort Worth plant shops. There's a couple that I want to go film and vlog about, so definitely stay tuned for that. In the springtime, there is a nursery, a Japanese maple nursery called Metro Maples that I want to visit. There's a lot of places I'm scheduled to try and check out and get some content. And if you are in the Orlando area, I am slated to fly over to Orlando, I think February 22nd for PlantCon 2025 in Orlando. It's the first of all the plant cons this coming year. There's a Houston one and a Dallas one, but I have yet to be in Florida. I've never been in the state of Florida, so I'm super excited to actually go to Florida, which is basically the mecca of all of these plants that we currently are looking at. That's where a lot of the tropical plants are coming from, or at least the aeroids that we get sourced out to a lot of these like big box stores and definitely small businesses and plant shops. So definitely check that out. I'm really excited to be able to film hours and hours of PlantCon 2025 Orlando content. So definitely, if you like that type of content and you've already been watching this video, please double check if, number one, you are subscribed to my YouTube channel, but not only subscribe, also with the notification bell on, all notifications. So definitely check that bell to see if it's all notifications. Now, if it's personalized, my videos may not always notify you whenever I upload like a short video or even have a random live premiere. So I hope you can have all the notification bell on anyways. But as you can see here, I've just been walking around and showing you all of the gorgeous plants. There's a lot of gold planters. It just really depends on your plant aesthetic. Like some people want more of like a rustic feel. Some people want wooden shelves or like wooden plant stands. Like I think that elevating your plants is also a great way to really, I guess, enhance the plant's beauty, as well as just having all of these gorgeous plants in general styled the way they need to be styled. Like, I mean, you can see right over here. So we just have some, and I will say a basic pothos plant. This is just a basic jade pothos, but it's being displayed in a way where it's very aesthetically pleasing. It's a way where you can actually enjoy not only the plant, but maybe the architecture around, or even just the planter. It's like, look at that. We've got another jade pothos. We've got a neon pothos right here. So I'm just going to walk around and show you some of the plant styling they've done with the planters here. Could see plant foldies. They've just got some gorgeous arrangements. That was a lipstick plant, and then they have a succulent arrangement right here. Succulents for me, they're really not a plant that I gravitate to, and I think a lot of it has to do with me just not growing succulents. A lot of my plant expertise, if you want to call it that, or knowledge, is really based on me watching my grandmother grow plants. She is the source of my inspiration. She is the one that has taught me a lot about plants, and really, if anybody somebody asks what the secret to growing healthy plants would be, I would say it's going to be time and effort. Time and effort. So basically really investing a lot of time, inspecting your plants, checking if the leaves are healthy, making sure you're watering them on a consistent basis, making sure that you are placing them in areas that they get ample amount of light and giving them the amount of nutrients to really thrive. And then also just cleaning the leaves, getting rid of dead leaves, cutting away brown, leaves, all of that, makes for a healthy looking plant collection. And, the natural inclination for anybody that has plants, and I would even say I really do have a plant addiction, and I am trying to find ways to kind of get out of it. And I think it's more of just downsizing the plants. I think, the episode that we're going to be talking about on that plant podcast that I'm part of with Janae Simone and Stephen of I Live Plants is how do you get out of plant burnout, where you feel like you don't want to take care of your plants, or you've bought too many plants and you just can't keep up with them. I would encourage everybody to watch that plant podcast, which is going to be premiering next Monday at 7:30 on our actual official Cultivation Corner YouTube channel. So we don't really have a lot of subscribers, or I think we only have like 200. There are 11,300 subscribers on this YouTube channel. So if you're watching this video, do a search for Cultivation Corner, find the YouTube channel, and please subscribe to it. It's going to, we're going to have a lot of plant podcast content, lots of, dialogue around plants and just all the themes around it. But as you can see here, plant foldies, when you look at Ruibals, they have a huge selection of different types of plants. Like you can find different types of aroids, you can find seasonal plants, you can find easy care plants, you can find plants that are rare and uncommon, and you can find even succulents and cactus, outdoor gardening plants. And I haven't even delved into the herbs and all of the other extra plants that you would never really look to at a plant nursery. But you can see that Ruibals Plants of Texas, it's really a one-stop shop, especially if you are a plant lover. I mean, you can see they've got several different pockets of different types of plants grouped. One thing is for sure, all of these plants grouped are so beautiful. I love the plant styling. I'm a little bit more open to different types of planters. Most of the time I like my planters to be very modern, very simplistic. But then as I look at some of the displays that they have at this plant shop, you can see that there's a little bit more added interest to it, and I really love the look of that. Like that Dieffenbachia, beautiful. They also have a bunch of planty type theme books. So if you haven't heard of Hilton Carter, this is the propagation handbook, and I would actually like to get a hold of it. I have two of his books, hard cover books. Now, Hilton Carter is another plant enthusiast that has, released a lot of his plant products at a big box store called Target. He's got some very stylistic approaches. I really do like his plant content as well. And, as far as like plant propagation, when you talk about it, that's one of my favorite aspects of growing plants, is to be able to take a cutting, propagate it, root it, and share that plant with somebody else, or grow my plant collection. So, plant foldies, I know some people have different opinions about plant propagations. I will say that sometimes I've over propagated, where you don't always have to propagate the plant if you take cuttings. I would say if you don't want to throw the plant cuttings away, you can always offer to give it to somebody else. But, sometimes over propagation of plants can be a little bit overwhelming as well, because you've added even more plants to your plant collection. So, as the new year comes around, I am excited to really curate my plant collection. I think that the IKEA cabinets I'm hoping to get 3 are going to help me organize my plants, really get my space to open up again. Because right now, if I'm being completely transparent, all of my plants just look like a jumbled mess. I would say having more than 45 types of aglaonema, for instance, you can't really enjoy it when they're all just clustered together. So I'm gonna hopefully get that, taken care of sometime, the beginning part of January, in addition to welcoming a bundle of joy, and that would be a Shiba Inu dog. So we'll see what that looks like. I don't know if it's all gonna work out, but we're gonna figure all of that out as we go along. Just like life in general, you kind of just roll with the punches. And then as far as if you're going to go travel in, to Dallas and actually go to Ruibals Plants of Texas, I would recommend going on a weekday, because on the weekends, super busy. And so if you want to like actually have time to just enjoy the plants, I would say going on a weekday is definitely beneficial, because this is a very popular plant shop. There are several locations of Ruibals, but this is the main one right here. And you can see I picked up some of these plants here. So these are more of the more curated plants. So we've seen the green marantha, and we just have prayer plants in general. I love the look of them, and I really thought that I would be able to grow a prayer plant in my plant collection. Unfortunately, these plants are very similar to calatheas, and they're very finicky. And for me, just trying to be able to grow these plants have become a bit of a challenge. I'm trying not to add plants that really bring me a lot of stress or just require me to go take care of them. There's more care tips to it. It's not that I don't like the plants, it's the fact that the plants require more care than I'm willing to give. And that doesn't make me any less of a plant lover, or or somebody that can grow plants. I think sometimes we have to be selfish with some of our intentions when it comes to our plant collection. I always encourage people to be really mindful about the plants that they are looking at adding to their collection. That's something I will always talk about in all of my plant shopping videos, and hopefully plant foldies, you guys agree on that. I mean, like right here, these are for $26.99. So it looks like this is a Philodendron varicosum, and so we can look at all of these more rare or uncommon philodendron that Ruibals offers. You can see right here, we've got a Syngonium milk confetti, but this one right here is a gorgeous looking Philodendron varicosum. Now with this Philodendron varicosum, you can even see that some of the leaves are already crisping up. Those velvety textured leaves tend to be more high maintenance. They need higher humidity levels, and that's something that I don't necessarily want to have to invest so much into my plant collection, because it just, I have wooden floors and I don't really want my floors warping. And so for me, that's really not the type of plant I need to add to my plant collection, those high humidity level plants, because I don't necessarily have like a whole greenhouse setup. And some people are fortunate. Like I would love to have like a greenhouse setup where it's temperature control, humidity control to really grow plants. Maybe if I make a lot more money, maybe when I retire and I have some money saved up to be able to take this hobby as a full-time hobby, that's something I would do. So I'm actually kind of envious for those that have full-blown greenhouses, because that's really the best way to grow plants indoors, if that makes any sense. It's because you're actually providing them, the plants, a specific place, versus just having a whole home be overgrown with a lot of plants. Like I will even say some of my plants are really neglected, and this holiday season has been super busy. But hopefully I can get this under control and actually take care of my plants and really get them organized. But anyways, plant foldies, you can see right here, variegated Alocasia batik. So they have all of these rare and uncommon plants. So if you're ever looking to purchase an uncommon plant foldies, especially in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, you can go to Ruibals. They are able to source out a lot of these plants, which is really exciting, because sometimes you don't want to order a plant online. I know that I've been getting a lot of import plants from overseas, and it's exciting, especially if you buy from Green Spaces ID. They make the whole process very simple, and their plants arrive in really good condition. I will be having an unboxing video to show you how healthy these plants have that I've received. I actually did a bulk order where I ordered a bunch of plants for some of my plant foldy friends, so that way we could save on the shipping. So if you're ever interested in importing plants, that's another way to go about it, is to actually go in it with some friends and do a bulk order, because then you'll save money on the shipping, also the phytosanitary certificate. Most sellers will provide a free phytosanitary certificate, but if you have to pay for it, going into it as a group is going to make it more cost effective. Philodendron Paraiso Verde. It is another philodendron that's quite interesting, because you can see that the variegation is beautiful when it's high variegation. This is for $28.98. The only thing about Philodendron Paraiso Verde is, for it to get that variegation, it's not necessarily the lighting conditions that it needs to get that variegation to push out. It's actually the climate. The warmer the weather is, the more high variegation it'll push out. And that's something I learned. That's something I've actually experienced, because if you put it in an area that's a little bit colder, it's not going to push that variegation out. And this one for $13.99 is a begonia maculata. Beautiful spotted begonia. You know, my grandmother, she can grow begonias and propagate them and just multiply them easily. For me, I'll be lucky to be able to keep a begonia alive, but that is available to purchase at Ruibals. And you can see here, Philodendron Snowdrift for $49.99 in a 6-inch planter. Beautiful philodendron. Now the variegation is influenced by the amount of light you provided, so you want to make sure you're providing that philodendron quite a bit of light. And I'll just pan around here, you can see more Philodendron Snowdrift. They would say that the Philodendron Snowdrift is the more cost-effective philodendron. You know, Snowdrift is more cost effective than the Philodendron Asmanii. I think that that's what you call it. I could definitely see the price range between those two philodendron. Needless to say, it is a beautiful plant. It is a plant that can get very large, and you can see that it does have some nice variegation. If you want it to be lighter though, you want to make sure you're providing it with quite a bit of bright indirect light. Bright indirect light is literally the key to success when it comes to a lot of the plants that we're growing indoors. Plant foliage, you can see right here, Philodendron Painted Lady, $27.99. So this is the Philodendron Collector series that Ruibals actually offers their customers. You can see that this is a nice, beautiful philodendron. I will say Philodendron Painted Lady, though, is a pretty fast reverter. If you don't give it enough light, it will revert more so to green. So that's, you know, the only disappointing part about growing a Philodendron Painted Lady. It is a little bit of challenging to keep it up. And then Philodendron Squamiferum, $27.99. I have a large one that I'm super proud of, and it's been doing very well. Actually, the Philodendron Squamiferum has been very easy for me to take care of. It's very low maintenance. As far as like watering, I just let the soil dry out completely and give it a good soak. It does want to climb up a pole, so I do have a little bit of a pole to hold it up, and it's starting to get some really large leaves. And then Manjula Pothos, $27.99. So Manjula Pothos, it's a very slow growing pothos, but oh my gosh, it is such a beautiful pothos plant. And it's one that has really large round leaves. You know, that's one of those pothos that you can get some mutations out of. I happen to luck out and buy a hanging basket of Manjula Pothos, a 6-inch hanging basket from Costa Farms. And, you know, as far as Costa Farms, again, they are able to provide us with a lot of plants for a cost-effective price. And, you know, as far as Manjula Pothos, that is another plant that I feel like it is uncommon, but then you can find it at a big box store. The next time I see it at like Lowe's or Home Depot available, I'm definitely going to buy several of those, just because you can never have enough I guess Manjula Pothos. And then you can see right here, Epipremnum pinnatum albo. This one is for $27.99. And this is another plant that you really want to put on a moss pole or a totem pole for it to really thrive and do well, because it will actually get larger leaves. That is the natural way for it to grow in the wild. And, you know, for my home country, which is the Philippines, those Epipremnum pinnatums in general are very much so endemic and pretty much considered weeds. And as I look at these plants, as I learn and do research and just get to know plants in general and the sources that they come from, it's quite interesting how some plants are very much common to, you know, a native environment versus plants that we bring over here, where we're working so hard to take care of them, whereas if you just left them in the wild, they just grow naturally. So I don't know, it's just kind of interesting. Like, I mean, this philodendron right here, gorgeous plant. It is a velvety texture leaf, so that means it is going to need a little bit more humidity. Philodendron Pink Princess, $27.99. Now, Philodendron Pink Princess, you know, years back was super expensive. Now you have to be really selective. Most people that want the Philodendron Pink Princess are going to go for the Philodendron Pink Princess Marble Galaxy, where it has more speckling, higher variegation. This one doesn't really have a lot of variegation. I do like the maroon colored leaves though, so it's actually still an interesting plant. So Philodendron Pink Princess, you can find them at big box stores, or you can go to Ruibals and get this one for $27.99. They do prefer to climb up a moss pole or some type of totem pole. They get larger leaves, and they're actually a pretty fast grower. As far as the Epipremnum Shangri-La, $27.99. Some people don't find this plant beautiful. I do. I want to get one. It is a Teruno series Japanese pothos that is now readily available at even big box stores. So, you know, that's one plant that I want to get a hold of at some point. I'm thinking of buying it at Peta's Planters, which is one of my other favorite plant shops to shop at in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. But you can see we do have Hoyas even over here. This is a Hoya macrophylla. Hoya macrophylla is a beautiful Hoya. I mean, Hoyas in general are easy to take care of. This is in a 4-inch planter for $14.99. And, you know, as far as Hoya varieties, there are hundreds of them, literally hundreds of them. And what I do like about Hoyas though is that they are very forgiving. They're very easy to take care of because you don't always have to water them. And if you let them dry out, they will still come back even if you let them dry out. Like I remember not watering a Hoya for more than a month and it still did very well for me. So really excited that I've been able to get away with that. And so I have Hoyas in my plant collection. Sansevierias, this one is for $14.99. I do have a Sansevieria whalefin that I've had for years and it's very low maintenance. I rarely water it. I maybe water it once a month, if that, or even less, and it's done very well for me. Super excited to be doing a collaboration video too with Succulents Asia. They reached out to me via Instagram, so they'll be sending me some rare and uncommon variegated Sansevieria, so definitely take a look at that. I'll have that video up for you guys. But as you can see here, Sansevieria hedgehog, and I will be ending this video quite soon. I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing part 2 of this video. Please hit the like button for this video if you haven't already, and I do appreciate you taking the time during the holidays to engage with me and watch my videos. As always, this is Richie at Growfolds. Please subscribe to my channel with the notification bell on. I'll have a brand new video tomorrow. Bye.